He's someone who, hasn't been around or at least on the radar for years and years and has just worked his way up. Just someone, kind of a new kid come out of nowhere, and the way he's playing this year has me fully convinced that he is going to stick around for a good while into the future.
He's certainly made a lot of fans, it needs to be said, just not only in the viewers, but also among the casters as well, and the staff on the production, because I know obviously we're both big fans of him. I know Derek's a big fan of him as well, just enjoys screaming back and forwards in pidgin English and pidgin Spanish back towards each other. And I know, Frenetic is quite the meme lord himself, it seems, with some of his posts that he makes on Twitter. I know you were very amused by Flanos yesterday, that Frenetic posted for his "I'm playing in Grandmasters" tweet for some reason.
I just loved it because the best part about it was the tweet was not in English, but I just saw Flanos as the last word, and that's all I needed. I didn't even hit the translate button. I didn't care. I'm happy. I'm done. That's all I need in my life.
The tweet was literally, translating very roughly, playing in GM in a bit, here's Flanos for no reason. That was basically the tweet.
I didn't need anything else. It's perfect.
Yep.
Frenetic just crossing language barriers with no problem whatsoever.
Yeah.
Here, though, it is the Mage Mirror, and this is some mirrors are a little bit better than others, but this is one of the trickiest and potentially one of the most frustrating to play if you don't get those frost activations the way you want them to and generate waves. So I would give it over to Bunnyhoppor to an extent, who has the best plan or best plan B of actually just being aggressive in the matchup in general without too much focus on the quest if it's not available for him.
Because of the Apexis Blast you're referring to, I suppose. Yeah, I would agree with that in general. I think it's a shame that the Auctioneer list isn't more popular, because I'm actually still very interested in how that matchup plays out with, one Auctioneer list against not the Auctioneer list on the other side. But I think in this instance, where Frenetic is playing 1 Thief, 1 Devolving Missiles as the 2 last cards, and Bunnyhoppor is playing the Apexis, I have favoured just that little bit of extra burst damage. The downside, of course, being that it does put a minion in play, and a minion usually of suitable size, that the opponent can abuse it by firing multiple spells at it, which can be annoying. And we've even seen instances in Europe GM where players have played Apexis Blast with the intention of killing that minion themselves, but then the minion was too big for them to kill themselves on their own turn. So it is still a little bit of a balancing act, I suppose, with that extra damage versus putting minions in play, which is generally something you're trying not to do in this matchup.
Yeah, we did see Incantus Flow as well, drawn on curve, of course, from Frenetic on the bottom there. So a bit of a wince from Bunnyhoppor. It's like, well, yeah, that's not really what I wanted to see, when Bunnyhopper's hand is very, very clunky right now. An unplayable Frost spell in the form of that Flurry on the far left. And then the double Apexis Blast, which again kind of just lends value to at least his ability now with double Fireball. Just say, well, you know what? All these spells can go face and probably will go face.
Spell damage. Phoenix?
Yeah, well, this is the choice.
There's never really going to be a world where you can fit 2 in the same turn, right? To get multiple advantages off of 1 spell damage. So I think just taking +1 spell damage on usually 1 spell is probably going to be the way to go here.
It was an interesting choice, I think does show the mindset that Bunny's in, because the lab partner is a general pickup because you can target spells with it very easily and it makes it cost 0, so easy to squeeze in turns. But as we said, like your own minions don't combine with the 2 flurries Bunnyhoppor's got. So yeah, I guess you just go Phoenix and say, I'll take the raw spell damage in a couple of turns' time.
And I think particularly now that you've seen the ice barrier, you want to start with fireballs, end with Apexis Blasts, if that's going to be your plan over the next few turns, right? Because there's no real upside to you getting a minion in play, but there is significant potential downside.
I was more thinking, how does he organize this to make the Phoenix proc on 8 so he can double Fireball that turn?
Okay, interesting.
And so he can use maybe an Apexis Blast just for now, and then Phoenix next turn, whatever the turn after Apexis Blast number 2, and then double Fireball maybe, just to get the most out of the Phoenix.
Okay, that's very fair. If you're ending up doing that, what you do, 10 damage from Apexis Blasts, you'll have 1 turn while you're waiting for the Phoenix to awaken where you're not doing anything. So let's assume you're fitting in a ping that turn. So that'd be 11 damage, so your opponent's at 17. So you're still then only dealing 14 with the 2 fireballs. Yeah, I think because that doesn't get there, I still favor my original plan of fireballs first, Apexes last. But it was a good thought for sure, and one that I hadn't considered.
And the positive of this version, of course, is, well, there are ignites that can be played that are cheap, right? When the Phoenix procs, so it could be Fireball Ignite, potentially, for that case.
Oh, the fireball plan was getting better with that hot streak draw, but no, unfortunately we've gone down this path now. You go fireball ping, that's 7. Apexis blast ping, that's 6. Apexis blast ping, that's 6. So you're looking at 19. You're still 3 short, but you would be an ignite and a ping away from guaranteed lethal at that point. I'm not actually factoring in
Phoenix.
Actually, if you do that, you get +2 spell damage from one of these spells, right? So you're actually just 1 more ping away from lethal by rationing it out that way.
What to do?
It's starting to get quite interesting. I think
and realistically,
fireball ping this turn, right?
Yeah, because at this point, well, what's Bunny's other plan? Pass and hope? You know, like, that just doesn't quite cut it, does it?
Yeah, and this makes double sense, right? Because not only are you getting this 2 extra damage that I wasn't accounting for, that just gets you 1 ping away from winning the game, you're also then in a position where the Apexis Blast downside doesn't really matter because you're going to have a minion in play this turn anyway, right? With the Imprisoned Phoenix. Don't really... I mean, I guess you could first flame it yourself, but I think pinging face is probably more valuable than doing that at this point.
Because the thing is as well, like, yes, Frenetic's now having a great turn, tons of card draw, tons of options to go here and get the quest live. Regardless of what flow looks like or where you are in the flow state of Mage, Dawngrasp costs 5. Which, at least to an extent, reduce that Dawngrasp turn down in its power level, which means Bunnyhoppor might have the window during that turn. Wait, how much damage is that?
Time runs out on me.
Ignite for 3 more.
And what's the next? Is the next one just a normal Ignite too?
Yeah, they're all normal.
Okay. So 3, I guess.
He's going to wisely save it for the Dawngrasp after the fact. Pop the Mana Biscuit here to transfer that mana to the next turn. It's looking like this noble burn plan from Bunnyhoppor might just end up being a turn or two too slow. Maybe an Ignite draw here can change that? No.
Does anything from Apexis Blast ever alter this plan? I don't believe so.
Don't think so. Like, you could get a Apexis Blast, get a High Abbess Allura, and then have it cast an Arcane Intellect or a Spring Water from your deck. That's kind of interesting. The Derailed Coaster definitely is not interesting.
I wonder.
Oh, he's just going to be 1 off next turn. So sad.
Time runs out on me.
There's no way you can get round it either, is there?
No. That's true, Gia pointing out.
What to do?
Yeah, Raz absolutely could have got there as well, right? Because that would have dealt the 2 damage that he needs to make up for the Apexis Blast next turn.
Wait, where even is he on the quest? Because he can draw an additional card, right? He is still on the first step, right?
Sorry. Bunny?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bunny's still on step 1, yeah.
I'm just wondering if there's anything he can draw into to maybe...
I have proven myself.
I don't know.
I demand answers.
Well, he needs the other Ignite, right, is exactly the out at this point, presuming he's not going to die immediately, which you know...
Is quite the presumption.
He's probably going to die immediately, but it's more exciting to think about the potential outs he has for the next turn. But the nod from Frenetic probably gives you the spoiler you need. So much damage still left remaining in the deck for Frenetic. Well mapped out from Bunny. Obviously, I think I spent a lot of the time during that game just mapping out the ways that Bunny had to approach it, and there were multiple different avenues he could have taken. I think the lines he took were optimal, certainly the ones that I agreed with. So I think he did the best he could in that situation. He had a hand that told him to do one thing, and he executed it as well as he possibly could.
This does mean now, though, after Frenetic winning this mirror match, that he is that one step ahead you always really want to be in Last Hero Standing, especially in the mirror match, basically, or in the mirror lineup, should I say? Because the assumption is now, and I'll be able to triple check that, is Bunnyhoppor queues Hunter against Mage. Let's assume Frenetic loses, and then Frenetic can queue his Shaman against the Hunter, and then so on, and then there's just going to be no good answer really for Bunnyhoppor after that, right? Because then he'll just have his own Shaman for a mirror match to try and hold on to take the victory, and then even without that, Hunter's still like doable with Frenetic as well. So pretty tricky one overall, but we have seen how quickly Hunter can dispatch Mage with the right scenario. So Bunnyhoppor could at least be staring down at a 1-1 very quickly here.
Yeah, and to no one's surprise, it is going to be coming in with the Face Hunter, although some absolute idiot that was responsible for the key cards this time around has managed to call this Quest Demon Hunter. I don't know what's happened there.
I'm going to assume that someone's done me in here, right? And it's like Lorinda or Derek's gone into the sheet and altered it just to make me look silly, because I am almost certain that wasn't the case the other day.
Imagine thinking you need help to look silly. Come on.
I do a lot of things effortlessly, okay?
True.
But yeah, like I said, this is a very tough matchup for the Mage. Of course, it's always winnable, but Hunter just generally pumps out so much early damage, even through an Ice Barrier in a lot of cases. And with that addition of that card you see in the middle there, that aim shot, it is so much damage for just one single card packed together, which is exactly what Hunter wants, right? It doesn't draw super well in the deck, so you want your singular cards to put in a lot of work, and that's exactly what aim shot does.
Right. It's so weird to be in a world, honestly, where a lot of people talk about how power creepers come into play, and a lot of cards now are more powerful than cards used to be. To be in a situation where we're all freaking out about how much damage aim shot is, and then it's just kill command. Like we had that card for so long. It's 5 damage for 3 mana, and you have to spend another 2 mana on your hero power to even unlock that extra damage that you paid 3 mana for. Whereas kill command just did the 5.
You know why it's cooler, though? Because it makes your hero power deal 4. Oh,
yeah.
Adds cool factor. And it can make your hero power deal 6. And sometimes, in weird scenarios, even 8.
Eddie on. Getting a nosebleed up here with the heights that these hero powers are reaching.
It'll be an interesting thing as well to keep an eye on this fire sale. Because again, a lot of the time with awkward openings, kind of like what Frenetic has right now, it can be awfully tempting to trade it and draw a new card, but Fire Sale does a good chunk of work against the early openings from Hunter, especially that Frenetic's on coin.
Oh, is it illegal?
Or you want to float mana?
I do want to float mana.
Always float mana this turn. So much damage.
It is so much damage. I mean, well, technically, Quick Shot was more damage. It's just the fact that an extra minion on board is usually worth more, right, than being mana efficient by 1 there, I would imagine.
Frenetic going to hold on to this coin, go fishing. Was that an instant snap Ice Barrier there from the one? That's a big deal, because when I did purposely say that Hunter can get through 1 Ice Barrier, a lot of the time by the time the second one comes down, they generally want to try and get through it without actually proccing it. So getting 1 down nice and early at least makes Bunnyhoppor have to do the work in that early game.
Yeah, and I was very interested to hear on one of the APAC broadcasts, Gia talking about how many of the Pony Dojo practice group players were talking about how they didn't actually feel like this matchup was that bad for Mage. Like, not saying it was a favourable, but, we're thinking that it was being overrated as a matchup for Hunter, which I don't necessarily agree with, but certainly the kind of games that Mage can win are the ones where early Ice Barriers appear, right? Because even if it is end up only being 1, it still has to come down early enough that the Hunter has to consider attacking into it. Because if it comes down any later than turn 4, turn 5, forget about it. They'll just stop attacking with minions and draw burn cards instead.
I'm glad you didn't agree, because I would have fought you over it. Rinlin's isn't bad as well, not even necessarily for the secrets, but it's just one card, deal 4 damage if Bunnyhoppor wants to go there with the proccing of the Ice Barrier. But this is one of those awkward hands for Bunnyhoppor here where Rhino looks good for now, but there is literally only that one thief that it's going to get value from. Does have the quick shot, but I think he has to commit swinging this ring wins.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's pretty close to the perfect hand for Frenetic to be against. Because that Rinlin's Rifle, 4 mana for 4, fine, but the secrets are almost a no impact. Because of the nature of Bunnyhoppor's hand, right? He's got 1 Rhino and then 2 spells, so even the usual open the cages, which is the choice in these kind of off-board matchups, doesn't feel like it's going to be that powerful, at least in the near future.
Took explosive. Very interesting choice from Bunny.
He's ready for
Get paid off with 2 damage. Yeah, nicely done.
It's just a weird choice because there's no target for the Rhino now.
Yeah, exactly. It almost felt like, yes, Frenetic has taken 2 damage for the favor, but I think that's something Frenetic might have played around that turn anyway, right? By potentially, I don't know, first flaming his own 1 thief or something just to get it off the board so the Trampling Rhino didn't have a target.
I think this is the turn to dump down the Rhino. Because with this hand, he will be looking at activating the secondary effect of that quick shot, right? To draw an additional card.
How much damage does he have already? This attack goes through.
Hero Power does 4 right now, is it?
3. Yeah, Hero Power's doing 4 at the moment. So aim shot is 5 more on top of that, which is 9. Quick shot is 12. He's still 4 to 5 hero powers away from winning the game. You'd hope that the game does not go 4 to 5 more turns from this point, but he has drawn a fair few damage cards already with double aim shot and a quick shot at this point. It looks like he is just going to commit to damage.
6. Yeah, this is the other route. Instead of trying to maximize card draw by playing the Rhino this turn, then following with double 3s, and then having X plus quick shot, he's just saying, I need to just naturally draw it, right? Because he's never playing this Rhino this game now.
And this is why I was doing that count. Very, very experienced Face Hunter players will understand what that count is all about, because it goes back all to the original days of playing Face Hunter. Is you want to calculate how many turns are left in the game, and then subtract your damage from your opponent's health, figure out how many hero powers that is that has to kill them, and then solve for X, right? Whereas if you're saying there's 4 turns left in the game and my opponent has 8 health after I play all of my damage cards, well, you're in business because you can fit in 4 hero powers in those turns. And that also plays into factors like, am I going to draw cards with this quick shot? Because if you're calculating the game goes 4 more turns and I have to hero power 4 more times, do you have enough cards in your hand to fill those turns for those next 4 turns, right? And if that's the case, you can quite freely just quick shot now for extra damage.
But he does have these Walpatingers now as piercing shot targets. But still, even with that, that's only 7 damage next turn if he draws it, exactly next turn. So it's still going to be 2 turns away, at least for now.
Keeps hitting minions though for Bunny. This is not what he wants at this point whatsoever. Trying to stay off board entirely to slow down the quest, and again that extends the number of turns. Every turn that passes, Frenetic loses 2 health. So every turn that Frenetic doesn't complete quest, that's another turn that's going to pass. That's another 2 health Frenetic is going to lose. And that's the situation Frenetic now finds himself in. He's going to have to use this Primordial Studies to go fishing for a minion to kill himself here.
Just going to pump out max damage, get those ignites played out. And honestly, at this point, just hope he can draw into them again and try and set up 2 turn of his own.
Yep. Drop the ignite. 3 damage. He still has fireballs in hand. He's going to use Refreshing Spring Water. I think this is very smart to abandon conventional mage play where he would just be trying to complete quest here. Instead, just rack up that damage nice and fast.
There is still that one-off piercing shot out for Bunnyhoppor.
Oh, sorry, you're not seeing these on screen, but Potion of Illusion, Grand Finale, Third option, Counterspell. Now, Counterspell starts to become a little bit exciting here, right? He's going to launch the Fireball, though. Cash in that 7 damage. A big factor here, by the way, is this is now a second Explosive Trap for Bunnyhoppor. He took Explosive Trap off the first swing, he took Explosive Trap again off the second swing. So if Frenetic has a lethal setup, which he does right now, which involves the Mini-Mage having to attack, unlucky, it doesn't get to attack. So currently, the 7 damage from the Fireball plus the ping is not going to be lethal because the Mini-Mage does not get to go face here. And like, will Frenetic have that read that this is Explosive Trap at this point? Because there's various other things it could still be. He hasn't tested for snakes. He hasn't tested for cages.
I don't think it would be, right? I don't think you really pick those and don't play minions. And he must have a knowledge that there's tons of minions here for Bunnyhoppor because Bunnyhoppor would have played the damage spells that are available, right?
Springwater's a huge draw here, though. There's a Discover here that could just be a straight-up lethal out for Frenetic if he gets the good options. Wildfire, Brain Freeze, Evocation he gets offered there. Probably just the Wildfire for extra damage, yep. Primordial Studies is extra spell damage. Mini-Mage, Phoenix, Geomancer. Didn't get the +2 spell damage, which I suppose he could have been looking for there to help him out.
You can still intellect for Ignite, right?
Still Cram Session as well, with a ton of spell damage in play right now.
Oh, sorry, yeah, I didn't even see that Cram Session.
Yeah.
If he just... But the Ignites will be 2, right? So Cram Session, Arcane Intellect are kind of the same thing.
Yes. You'd have to spend 1 more mana on Cobalt Geomancer to get the Cram Session to be better, at which point you don't then have the mana to spend.
That would be exact, right? It would be 11. Victory there for Frenetic. Oh, you don't see that often.
Bunny holds his hands up, but again, you have to... I mean, I genuinely... He continues to surprise me. Frenetic is keeping a cool head in some very difficult situations. Firstly, we can rewind 2 turns, right? And understand what he did straight away was recognize what Bunny was doing, not playing minions, not letting the mage play for quest. So he said, all right, fine. Spell damage. Burn you, burn you, burn you, burn you, burn you. I'm setting up lethal for next turn. But then also, very smartly, as I was talking about, does he really understand the dynamic of what's going on here with the Explosive Trap on the other side? Yes, he absolutely did. Fishing as hard as possible for as many outs as he could and sequencing it very nicely to then find Fireball Ignite for exact lethal without having to attack with the Mini-Mage into that Explosive Trap. Very, very nicely done.
Yeah, and really rough. A series of rough draws from Bunnyhoppor, which obviously at the time it did. They had multiple options of the way to play out that kind of rough hand. Like I mentioned about playing the Rhino, so you could potentially free up that quick shot to draw an additional card. But there were loads of draws that would have helped him massively. Not even talking about Barret Kodo Bane, which would have almost guaranteed him the win at that point, because there was no even Mankrik, right? So he would have got another aim shot. He played them both, sorry. He would have got a quick shot, right? Guaranteed. Yeah. So yeah, he could have maybe made up the damage, but a rough draw there from Bunnyhoppor, handful of minions and not a lot of hope, and that means Frenetic now, sitting at 2-0, still has his mage alive, and now he's facing down Quest Shaman. And even if he loses this, Bunnyhoppor has to do the reverse sweep. The thing Frenetic just did in his previous match against Warmer, Bunnyhoppor would have to repeat it and win 3 games in a row with Quest Shaman.
And it's a rough start when you're kicking it all off against Quest Mage, it's got to be said, because we can talk about hotly contested matchups and the hot takes of the Pony Dojo that, at least in America's style best of 1, were shown to be correct there with the Mage picking up the win. But I mean, I haven't really heard anyone have the controversial opinion that Quest Shaman is actually favoured in this matchup. It does seem to be a particularly difficult one for the Shaman to navigate.
Yeah, and it's one of those reasons or explanations where the minions Shaman plays out early generally kind of benefit the mage. And then the power plays from the Shaman are normally after the mage has already made their power plays and won, right? Like, that's kind of the issue, that sort of middle window of nothingness that Shaman has sometimes. Although no matchups 100%, so it's always that chance. We just saw it from Frenetic taking the win with Mage against Hunter, which, regardless of what all these cool kids in practice groups say, is ridiculous. Of course, Hunter is very favoured in that matchup. I will hear none of anything else about it.
No littering.
Ooh.
Aggro, aggro, aggro.
Ah, the old Bloom Slog, of course.
I think this is a matchup where you can take 6, right?
Yeah.
In favour of Incanter's Flow? Oof.
Whoa.
Frenetic disagrees.
Oh, no! And whiffs as well on the cheap spell damage minions there to be able to get a piece of this. I do like Imprisoned Phoenix, though. I think, all in all, pretty strong card. We saw Bunnyhoppor using it very effectively in kind of a picking a board apart style matchup against Shadow Priest. I think similarly against Quest Shaman, it can do a ton of work here. Particularly useful against the 3/4s, the spider tanks that can come down in a lot of spots.
Yeah, now at least he has multiple choice of 1-drops, right, with that Incanter's Flow next turn. So he does delete 1 card, save 6. It worked out okay in the end.
So, Coin Bolt, Feral Spirits, I imagine.
Looks like the case. That will unlock his manners as the 3rd proc on the quest.
Is he looking at Charge Call for a 4-drop instead? I suppose it's considerable. I've been surprised at the amount of times people have Charge Call for a 4-drop against me and got like a 3/6 or something, like, you know, a very good-sized minion off the Charge Call.
Yeah, I think with the more widespread spider tanks we have, I think there's also been a knock-on effect of all the 4-drops are also, or at least a lot of the 4-drops have become like 3/6s, 3/5s. Oh,
Hey! Finally, we've seen it happen. One of
yeah,
the good
Optimistic
ones.
Ogre.
Optimistic Ogre, my boy! Yep, and Bunny is feeling optimistic. Let's get it in play.
I mean, you've got to, at this point in the series, 2-0 down, playing into an unfavourable.
50% chance to attack the wrong enemy, 0% chance to attack when you're frozen. Unlucky, my friend. That is Quest 2 on turn 5.
Oh, Arcane
Keep
Intellect.
coming down. That is Arcane Intellect. That is Frost and Arcane in hand, ready to go for next turn already. Just needing fire for Frenetic. Bunny looking kind of dead, not gonna lie.
Yeah, card draw is the big deal. I think if Frenetic got just a burn spell as an option there, honestly, then I could say, oh, well, you know, it's pretty even, actually, because lack of card draw, so on. But not only did he get hold of an Arcane Intellect, which is fantastic, but his next quest proc will, you know, help him get there as well. So, yeah, it's not looking great, is it? Oh, he plays
like
those in his deck.
He does. I really like this Shooting Star pick, though, by the way. I think he's understanding the phases of the game, I guess is the way to put it, really nicely there, because the 3 options he was offered, none of them help him with the phase of the game he's currently on, right? Which is trying to maintain board control and complete stage 3 of the quest. However, for the next phase of the game, where he wants to play Arcanist Dawngrasp, Shooting Star is nutty. So he can just factor that in and use that as his defensive turn. Say if he doesn't draw a flurry, for example, Shooting Star will be incredibly clutch on his Arcanist turn.
Sorceress might help Bunnyhoppor here dig himself out. Still gets to push some damage, but of course, the damage represented right now is less than an ice barrier, so Frenetic's still feeling pretty comfortable. What is he going to be looking for this Sorceress? What are the key ones? Is it just Charge Call right now?
I mean, I guess so. Charge Call and significant burn damage. Obviously, the Charge Call has continued to be juiced since the 5-drop came along.
Locked up with somewhere to go.
Serpentrine's okay.
Oh, is he desperate enough for something from Tiny Toys?
is little time.
What are your outs? Anara, I suppose, push some damage, but I mean, even then.
The 1/1, maybe?
Okay.
I'm just thinking of extremes, you know, like, is there anything really powerful we could get? But without any kind of revolve or anything, it's probably a bit too weak. Or unreliable, at least.
Blood Mage? No. Okay, Stuart isn't bad. The Dawn Grasp Shooting Star turn.
Oh,
I have proven myself. I demand
magnificent.
There you go. There you see the plan coming to fruition 2 turns ago, picking up that Shooting Star, as I mentioned, just recognizing what his hand needed at that point.
And even the kind of laugh from Bunnyhoppor is like, all right, okay. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, obviously, it's a fortunate thing to be offered, but you still have to have the foresight to recognize that's what you need in that situation and pick it up.
And nothing too rocket science about this turn. It's just going to go with it. But now it's just what you want. It isn't Cram Session, but just any card draw after this turn is going to be fantastic for Frenetic. I think a Fire Sale will probably be the best there, right? Because it's just, I feel that if you clear this board, then it's going to be very difficult to lose the game if you're Frenetic in this position.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that.
Probably just going to Flurry.
Yep.
Get the good 2. Oh, whiffed.
No potential for Frenetic to starve this game, but he does have 1 more draw, still multiple sources of card draw left in the deck. Obviously, those Cram Sessions are the huge nut that he can hit this turn, but Stuart can help him out as well if he does whiff on the natural draw off the top.
Locked up with somewhere to go.
Is this Lightning Bolt just for damage? Because he already has Serpent Shrine if he wants to kill the Dawn Grasp?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious about runic carvings. Like, maybe if you get Fire Sailed next turn, that's good just to have the refill to be threatening, because I don't think you're ever getting there with just shooting burn at face, right? Even with a turn or 2 of Brucan, which Bunny might optimistically feel like he's going to get here, but maybe I'm overthinking it and it is just Lightning Bolt for simplicity.
There is little time. Come one, come all!
Yeah, I think this is one of those games where you have to just hope they don't get it. They don't have the AoE, and then you try and build from there and just have the burst available. That doesn't look good, though.
Bye, Bordy. All right, about as good a refill as Bunny could have hoped for there outside of Charged Call. Once again, this is not necessarily over yet, but Frenetic has to draw very badly for a number of turns from this position to really get into trouble.
Does have this ice barrier to at least delay some of this threatening damage here from the Brucan.
And that's not a good start.
Does he trade it?
Consider trading it. Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Noises.
Fireball the 7/7 now. Drop the ice barrier.
Makes sense. I think
Great.
he needs more than 1 turn's worth of time at this point, right?
Yep.
Look at Frenetic. And that's kind of what shows to an extent, right? He looks exactly the same in this week 2 finals in GM than he did in the actual playoffs to qualify for Worlds, right?
He wants to it every day, and the signature that's run at the top of the show. You see it. That exact face, that exact pose.
What to do?
Bunnyhoppor now. Again, although it looks like the hand is small, which it is, still trying to just plan this stuff out and see exactly what can he draw next turn, what are the best draws, what does he need to do to maybe even have the most mana available, because I believe, let me just triple check, yeah, the number 1 culprit here, Instructor Fireheart, is still in Bunny's deck. And that's a card that can turn this game all the way around.
Now let her end.
Okay.
Gonna kill
Yep,
for
smartly
6-4.
just continuing to use it to board control.
Oh, it's horrible.
It is disgusting.
Ring toss, Netherwind portal wouldn't be the worst. Counterspell wouldn't be the worst.
I was almost tempted to just take rigged fair game and just pray that you find a turn where you manage to clear the board and take 0 damage. Like that, is that how desperate you are for board control? Maybe. He did end up with the counterspell in the end though.
Yeah, look at these as well. The cards left: Intellect, 2 Cram Sessions, 2 Spring Waters. Oh,
Yep.
he's so favoured to draw.
Yep. And another Runed Orb that can continue to find that as well. And the Fire Sail that he's already cycled once. Okay, there's Arcane Intellect. There's Refreshing Spring Water. Frenetic's off to the races. Even if he bricks here, which he doesn't.
Do.
Oh, yes!
Insane. Oh my.
Yeah, Ignite goes in, Refreshing Spring Water, Cram Session, so much mana to burn with here. These Ignites are obviously going to keep on stacking up. The Runed Orbs go out there for 0. This has got to be lethal this turn with the amount of mana that Frenetic has available.
And the lack of cards in the deck, right? These are going to be Ignites each time. And there's the arms up. And like I said, Frenetic wants to win, whether it's a single week GM where 5 points are on the line, or whether it's a qualification into the World Championships, which he already has. Great week for Frenetic, and a great set of matches as well. Going 3-0 with Mage. I think it's fair to say, not the deck I expected to sweep in this meta right now, Sottle, especially with how aggressive some of these counters are. But let's just remind you guys, today, he didn't only 3-0 with Mage, his other match today, in the semi-final, he 3-0'd with Shaman against Wala. What a day.
What a day indeed, and honestly, you know, we will be crowning Frenetic as our weekly champion, but as corny as it sounds, I think, you know, Hearthstone was really the winner today, because we saw some fantastic series, and even in defeat, Bunny had a fantastic showing for himself, right? Like, he put on a real clinic against Gabby, and you know, just a little opportunity to just put the youngster back in his place. You know, just remind him he still has a little way to go before he reaches the heights in, you know, competitive play that the likes of Bunnyhoppor and co have reached. But then on the other side, Frenetic did a similarly strong performance in his semi-final, and then just an absolute brutal streak of games from the Mage on the other side. I think it's been a fantastic performance, even in the European region, where we know European GM and good Hearthstone play goes together like salmon and lemon. It's so early. We're going to finish. I'm already thinking about my dinner at this point, Raven. It's so early. We're finishing, and that's just where my head went. But it's obviously, we are known for good play, but even then, particularly today, I think it's just been a fantastic exhibition of some of the best players.
I do love, and this says a lot about where both of us live, that you went for salmon and lemon, and I was thinking pizza and chips. But Frenetic is our...
Ketchup and bread, mate. That's what we eat.
Tomato sauce sandwich is the best. Frenetic is our champion for this week, and he was already feeling pretty good about his chances this season because of those bonus points he had from winning the previous season. But after just chucking in already week 2 an actual win, an additional 5 points to chuck in there, he's going to be feeling not only confident in just staying in GM, but really just fantastic that those performances seemingly keep on rolling, right? I think one little fear that a lot of players can have is they win something